art friends. I wanted to share with you my latest piece of art. This piece did not start out quite this large. It started out as a small little sketch on a piece of scratch paper. Um, I was it all started at the beginning of the pandemic, and I had just finished watching the TV show Penny Dreadful, the second season, which I didn't care for as much as the first season. But in that Penny Dreadful show, there was a character called Santa Muerte. And although the character itself wasn't that compelling, I had done a painting of death before and I wanted to do another one. So I did my little, phone doodle, my little sketch, and I started to talk about it with my daughter, and she said, "Dad, now with this pandemic going on, people want something that's a little bit more uplifting." So I had to agree, and but I still felt like I needed to do a painting death in it for some reason. I know, pretty morbid, but so my solution was to do a painting that had both life and death in it. Now, this was a perfectly fine solution, but I didn't really care for this very long rectangular shape that I was winding up with. So eventually I decided to do it in a circle so that I could kind of rotate the figures around a little bit closer to each other. And once I had it in a round composition, the next natural thing was to try and make it rotate while it was on the wall. And that way you could take turns. You could have a slightly different painting every day that you wanted it. Obviously this is probably my most ambitious piece to date, and it was with no shortage of challenges along the way. When I was about halfway through with the painting, I realized that I had made some errors that I didn't feel like I could really rectify in the painting process. So I decided to start the entire painting from scratch. As much as I hated to, I felt that I would wind up with a better painting in the end. Everything was going along very well. I had sanded it down, regessoed the board, starting to paint again. And then I decided that I didn't really like the curtains the way that they were coming out. So I took a nice long piece of red fabric that I have, and I did some mock curtaining in my studio and painted them basically from life. So I was pretty happy with it at that point. So the painting itself, not only because of its size, but because of its subject matter, was a little bit challenging too. It's not easy to come into the studio and look at death every day, but that notwithstanding, the other challenging part for me was the construction of the whole frame. I felt like, and I still feel like, if you're going to do a painting about life and death, you kind of need a kind of a grand stage to set them into. Just a plain old, circular frame wasn't going to do it for me. I needed something a little bit more epic. And as a matter of fact, my initial designs for the frame of the painting were much larger. At least another foot taller, and probably another 9 or a foot wider. But I very soon realized that at those dimensions I would never be able to ship it anywhere. It would just be way too expensive. So I decided to start scaling it back and scale it back further and a little further until I was certain that I could at least fit it in my car, so that if I do enter it into an exhibit and it gets accepted, I can at least drive it there and I don't have to pay to ship it. The frame itself was also a challenge, everything from figuring out how to make the painting rotate, safely and smoothly, and how to make it stop at a specific location. I have a very simple magnet system in the back that helps me with that. I do have to say that the corbels and the wood onlays, those were all purchased. I'm not a wood carver. I also don't consider myself a philosopher. Some artists are of the opinion that an artist has to comment through his art on the times and what's happening in the world around them, and that's perfectly fine. But my opinion is that my job as an artist is to create something beautiful for you to hang on your wall. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't have a story, and a lot of my paintings do have stories and meanings behind them, but my main objective is just to create something beautiful, and whatever meaning you find in it, that's what I want you to bring into it and get out of it. Having said that, if you do want to get into a philosophical discussion about this piece or any other piece, please feel free to leave a comment, or you can always contact me at jose@pardostudio.us, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have, either about the theme, the meaning behind it, any technical questions that you might have. I'm always glad to answer questions. Anyway, that's my latest piece. I hope that you like it, and I can definitely guarantee that my next painting is going to be much smaller and much simpler. Thank you for watching.